Not this way the base, not online way the base, offline.
Oh, offline way the base. No, it's not working.
Okay. Do you have your computer open with you? Because I'm not with my computer now, so it's going to be a. I am with my computer, but sorry, what I meant is, I mean, I'm not on Zoom on my computer. I have the computer in front of me, but because I don't have my headphones right now, and if I speak from the computer, then you may not be able to hear clearly.
Prabhu, if somebody else has and they can open, I can give him the sharing rights.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else logged in from their computer?
I've got a textbook here, Prabhu.
No. How are you going to share the textbook?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's. I'll chant the prayers and I'll work it out. I'll just read from here. Something will do. Okay, let's start first. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha Namam Vishnu Padai Krishna Preshtai Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminati Namine Namacharya Padai Natai Kripa Padaine Gaurakata Dhamadaya Nagara Gramataride Namam Vishnu Padai Krishna Preshtai Bhutale Srimate Gopi Parandana Daseti Namine Namam Vishnu Padai Krishna Preshtai Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishashunyavadi Pashyati Deshtarine Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Advadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sriyam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langati Giravit Kritam Deshi Gurudarnamit Kritam De Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Katanchana Smate Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhave Yasmin Devi Pritam Syat Shri Chaitanyam Namamitam. I hope I recited the prayers to Prabhupada because I was looking at the screen on the computer regarding the class today. I hope I did. Did I recite Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me do something. Let me just try to see what's going to happen here. No, it's not going to work. I'm just checking if you can see on the monitor. No. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just read it. So you just have to be attentive. That's all. What to do. 20. Look, you have broken the floor. In Hawaii, one woman disciple went in to see Srila Prabhupada and brought her 1-year-old daughter with her. Temple president introduced her, telling how they were trying to arrange that this woman could earn money for her needs without unduly straining the temple's finances. The woman said that she had heard there was a job picking guavas available on the island. Prabhupada said, no, a woman with a child should not take such strenuous labor. When she said that as an alternative, she could distribute his books, Prabhupada smiled and approved. Yes, do that. While this talk was going on, the woman's young child began to play with papers on Prabhupada's desk. No, said Prabhupada, shaking his finger at the child. The woman picked up her child and placed her beside her. But the little girl crawled forward and started to touch Prabhupada's feet. No, the mother called out, and she began to drag her child away. But Prabhupada said, my papers should not touch, but my feet, that is all right. You must learn how to instruct the child properly. The woman, knowing that her time in the darshana was soon up, the mother tried to introduce a philosophical question to get some spiritual benefit from the rare opportunity of talking to Srila Prabhupada. She asked, how do you become free from fear? Prabhupada replied by giving the example of Prahlad Maharaj. For him, Prabhupada said, he saw everything as coming from Krishna, whether it was good or bad. Whereas for the demon, there was only fear. Prabhupada then drank water and held the cup out to the small child. By now, however, the child was getting tired and cranky. She refused the water and threw herself on the ground, hitting her head in a temper tantrum. Before she actually began to cry, Prabhupada interrupted her and said, look, pointing to the floor, you have broken the floor. The child immediately got up, stopped crying, and looked at the floor. Then Prabhupada gestured that they should leave. So this is a very interesting pastime. And I have one personal recollection where I was in Navadvip Mandal Parikrama in the year 1998. At that point in time, I was assisting His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj as his assistant, as carrying his paraphernalia around. When we reached Narsimhapalli, and as His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj and others, they got down to take bath, I was holding his bag, and then I had to come down. So it was like, how do you say? You have the mud, then you have to come. You're slow. There is a kind of a slope there, and then you have to get down, and then there are steps, and then you have to go into the water. Because as I was trying to climb down this, what is it? That muddy slope. Actually, I tripped and I fell. I was kind of shocked because I was supposed to give him something, and then I tripped and I fell, and this thing. So immediately Jayapatak Maharaj, when he saw that I had fallen, the moment I looked at him, he said, hey, you've broken the floor. What happened? So I just looked what happened, and actually nothing had happened, but then it distracted me there. So whenever I read this incident, at that time I had not read this incident, but whenever I read that, I remember this pastime because whenever I read this, I remember that what happened with Jayapatak Maharaj, how he dealt with me. And it is a fact that even though I was grown up, but still, it completely distracts your attention from what actually happened. So Prabhupada was very expert. He prevented the child actually from crying. And this is one thing about Prabhupada. Prabhupada is not just someone who knew only about spiritual subject matters. He was an expert. He was like Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva wrote on so many subject matters of this material world also. Of course, because he's Vyasadeva, he has got perfect knowledge. So Prabhupada knew the art of perfectly dealing with the material energy. So, okay, let's go on to 21. Little drops of nectar. When Prabhupada, okay, sorry. In September of 1976, Prabhupada was sitting in Vrindavan. Two of his sannyasi disciples came before him. Prabhupada spoke to them individually, giving different instructions. To one, he said, "You are a sannyasi. Why are you spending such long time here? You have a bus and you must travel. Sannyas means that now you have to preach all over the world. So why you should be thinking of becoming temple president here? Actually, a sannyasi should not stay in any place for more than 3 days at a time. When the wheels stop turning, then the preaching is stopped also. Still, the temple is nirguna, so you may stay, but not for more than 3 days. That is allowed, but only if you have business there." In this way, Prabhupada encouraged one of his men to immediately go out and preach, and he admonished him for staying too long in one place. As soon as he finished speaking in that way, Prabhupada turned to the other sannyasi and told him, "Now, you must never leave Vrindavan unless I say so. You should stay here and do the management." All the devotees present laughed. It seemed wonderful how Prabhupada had just given two completely contradictory statements, and yet everyone accepted them as truth. When Prabhupada was attending the Kumbh Mela in Prayag in 1977, a few devotees from England arrived with a special gift. They had brought rasagullas that had been offered the previous day to the Radha Krishna deities in London. Not even the Queen of England, said Prabhupada, could enjoy a rasgulla made in England while sitting at the Kumbh Mela. This is the first time that anyone has been able to do this. Prabhupada is alluding to the fact that in India, from the time of British occupation, things that were made in London were considered the best. Anything made in London was the best and most expensive. Certainly, rasgullas were available all over India. But the fact that one was made in London and immediately exported to Prabhupada in his tent at Kumbh Mela was a symbol of the wonder and wealth of the Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada's servant, Harishori, related to Prabhupada that his grandmother had advised Harishori's mother to abort the child who was to be born of her. The mother refused, so he was born. After hearing this, Srila Prabhupada brought it up in different conversations. Now I understand, he said, the advantage of a birth in India. People here could not even dream of such a thing. Prabhupada explained how people are taking the great risk of becoming murderers simply due to the sex urge. All the women in the West, he said, are encouraged by their parents to become prostitutes and capture some rich man while they are still young. Now, this is quite a dense passage which needs to be unpacked. First of all, Prabhupada is saying here that in India, people could not even dream of such a thing. That is very significant because today, India is a place where abortion is highly encouraged. In fact, I mean, I guess it's one of the countries where the most number of abortions happen. I don't know if it's the most number, but the government, couple of years ago, yes, passed a legislation that you can abort a fetus even in the 8th month or something. I mean, I don't remember the exact month, but later stages of pregnancy. But on the contrary, this is the irony of it. When Prabhupada is saying that people could not even dream of such a thing. Now it is so common. I mean, it's so easy to do an abortion in India. So, and it's so rampantly done here in India. So, whereas in America, now they have made a, ruling, which the Supreme Court of America, I think it was a few months, I don't remember the exact number of months. It was a short while ago. They passed this thing that it is illegal to kill a child in the womb. So anyway, so we have gone complete 180-degree in the opposite direction, where the Americans have now taken up the cause of not killing a baby in the womb, whereas the Indians have gone the other direction, completely opposite. And one very important thing is, I have been shocked, appalled in the last several years to find that devotees don't take abortion so seriously. Like, I remember just in the summer when I was in South India, we happened to visit the house of one devotee couple, and they kind of matter-of-factly, they aborted the baby. I said, why? Because they said, because the doctors, when they did the scan, they said this child could have Down syndrome. So I said, so what? I mean, what is that? No, we don't want to bring a child into this world who has to suffer his whole life. I said, the child is already there. What are you talking? Child is already, they killed the child. No, they couldn't accept it. For them, it was just no. I mean, so abortion is not a permissible thing for devotees. It's a very sinful activity. Prabhupada, in fact, mentions that for the duration of the life the child was meant to live. For example, let's say a child was meant to live for 85 years. At least, I don't know if it could be greater, but I don't remember. Prabhupada says that, I mean, for the duration of the life the child was supposed to live, for that many lives, that many years, the person who's responsible for committing abortion will not be able to see sunlight. So, of course, there would also be punishments for Yamaraj, which I don't know all the descriptions of it. But nevertheless, it's very abominable. And here, when Prabhupada is ending this by saying that all the women in the West, he said, are encouraged by their parents to become prostitutes and capture some rich man while they're still young. In India, sometimes people think that Prabhupada is completely mistaken when he said things like this. But what he's referring to is the idea of free mixing. So the moment when he says prostitutes, he doesn't refer to women who are professional prostitutes. That's not what he's referring to here. What he's saying here is that a woman who has any attachment to any man other than her husband is considered to be unchaste. And unchaste women are generally referred to as prostitutes in conventional India. Not necessarily that they have to be professional prostitutes. So now the question could be asked, why is this chastity of women so much encouraged? Why not men? Yeah, men are also expected to be celibate and responsible. But the point is that it's the mother who bears the child for 9 months, and the child is very deeply affected by the psychology of the mother. So therefore, because he's the one who bears the child, so therefore that chastity is very strictly emphasized. Of course, for men also it's important, but why always this thing about women is being considered? That's the reason. Okay, let's go ahead. It's not that I'm just trying to go ahead. I mean, I will open up for questions a little later. I don't know if this is a commentary or what does the Satguru Maharaj do? Just give me a second. I think it's Satguru Maharaj's own commentary on this. Okay, let's see. Harishori Das Diary, Tamal Krishna Goswami interview, and Harishori Das Diary. So these are the sources of this. And I think this is Satguru Maharaj's comments. Because I haven't read this proper net. I do remember having read long time ago, but not in the recent past. The incident where Srila Prabhupada gives contradictory instructions to two different sannyasis points to the value of supplementary literature, such as Prabhupada Nectar. Prabhupada selected instructions from the Nectar of Devotion for our application in ISKCON, but he also deliberately omitted certain instructions from that book. The Acharya, while always guided by Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, will also sometimes simplify and select. Such selection, when done by a neophyte, can become a dangerous speculation. Therefore, we can record reliable accounts of Prabhupada's personal dealings. We have another permanent record to which to turn, which is not merely of value as simply a footnote of curiosity, but which can show us dynamically and specifically how Srila Prabhupada chooses instructions from the Vedas according to time, person, and place. The incident of Prabhupada's receiving a Rasgulla made in England while at the Kumbh Mela demonstrates Prabhupada's satisfaction with the expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada did not take ISKCON's growth as his personal doing, but he saw it as the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Of course, historically, no one can deny that Srila Prabhupada was the one chosen to spread Lord Chaitanya's mission worldwide. But Prabhupada was prideless in the matter. He would freely state how wonderful it was that Krishna consciousness was spreading. On another occasion, Prabhupada was sitting in his garden in Vrindavan, talking with a British disciple who said that he was a great-grandson of Lord Macaulay, a leader during the British occupation of India. After talking with his disciple for some time, Prabhupada remarked on the wonder of the Krishna consciousness movement, that now a British descendant of Lord Macaulay was fanning his Indian guru. Prabhupada would also quote the imperialistic slogan, "The sun never sets on the British Empire," and apply it to his Krishna consciousness movement. He said that practically no Karmi industrialist could have as many branches as Srila Prabhupada had branches of ISKCON. Even if he were to stay only 3 days in each one of his temples, he would not have time in the year to do it. Prabhupada made such transcendental boasting, usually to impress audiences and to make them aware that Krishna consciousness was no trifle. After a visit by one Mayavadi yogi, Prabhupada remarked that by this yogi Shakti, he is only able to maintain one apartment flat in Calcutta, whereas Srila Prabhupada, by the Shakti of Lord Krishna, had branches all over the world. Very beautifully said. Okay, I think because each section is little different, I think since we read 20 and 21, 2 anecdotes. Any thoughts, reflections, questions so far? Okay, so we shall continue. 22. Why are you inventing? Why are you not satisfied? In 1974, at ISKCON Dallas Gurukul, one of the teachers introduced a new learning contest for the children. He called it Krishna Bowl, modeled after a television program called General Electric College Bowl. College Bowl was a contest that tested the wits of the brightest college students. So Krishna Bowl was a contest to see which students had the best memory for incidents in the Krishna book. The competing Gurukul students would sit at desks facing the assembly of children and teachers, and a tense competition ensued. The questions tended to be extremely intricate, and the first student who knew the answer had to press an electric buzzer. Whoever buzzed first got to answer. The games caused great excitement among the children and sometimes caused tears and tantrums for the losers of the game. Some of the adult devotees in Dallas wondered if maybe the whole Krishna bowl was just so much mental speculation. One of the teachers in favor of the game wrote to Prabhupada for approval. Prabhupada replied as follows. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter regarding the Krishna Bowl game, and it should be stopped immediately. This thing will be a taxation on the brain of the young children. Why are you inventing? Why are you not satisfied? You all are only inventing and spoiling money. You teach the children perfect Sanskrit and English instead of spoiling time and money. The children cannot pronounce correctly the Sanskrit, but then read it correctly. That is wanted first. They must pronounce nicely Sanskrit and English. The English is no difficulty. If you can do this, then your education is all right. Another letter from Prabhupada soon followed, sent to one of the GBC representatives. I received one letter from Gurukul regarding the Krishna Bowl contest, wrote Prabhupada. And I want you to know that nothing new should be added. Whatever I have introduced should remain. Nothing new should be added. New things means that their brain is not clear. Carefully manage things that I have established. Okay, so here we see that our Bhagavatam begins with Dharma Projita Kaitavotra, giving up all cheating processes of religion. This Bhagavatam establishes the highest truth. So, in the purports to that text, Prabhupada explains that devotees means Parama Nirmatsaranam Satam. They're completely free from envy. Competitiveness, Prabhupada writes, is a sign of envy. Competitiveness means sign of envy. So Prabhupada writes, devotees are not interested in this competitiveness. So at the same time, during the book distribution marathons or even otherwise, Prabhupada would encourage one temple to compete with the other. And Prabhupada gave the example that now I will try to tell you what is the difference between that and this. So I'm just coming to that. But before that, let me just explain to you. Prabhupada said that in the spiritual world, the gopis are also competing with each other. How can I serve Krishna better? If someone renders some nice service to Krishna, Prabhupada says, first of all, the gopis appreciate, oh, such a nice service has been done. And then the devotee thinks, I should do better than even that. So first of all, there's appreciation of what is done. Then there is an attempt, an endeavor to do something even better. So somebody has given pleasure to Krishna. You appreciate the fact that somebody gave pleasure to Krishna. And you're attempting, let me try to give even more pleasure. Whereas in mundane competitiveness, please remember this, you can see from this episode also, there is the concept of winners and losers. In spiritual competition, there's no such thing as a loser. Everybody is doing something for Krishna. There's no question of being loser. The concept of a loser does not exist in spiritual competition. So although this may have appeared like spiritual competition, they say testing their knowledge, how much they have understood Krishna, but then some people are losing, right? There is a concept of losing here. But whereas Prabhupada encouraged only competitiveness within the context of not losing, because let's say a temple distributes books. It may distribute, let's say, 1,000 books. They're not losers. Somebody may distribute 1,500 books. So that does not mean that the temple who distributed 1,000 books is a loser. They distributed 1,000 books. But whereas here, the winner is a winner and the loser is a loser. That's the whole thing here. Because one person gets to hit the button. That's it. Finished. And he has, if he tells the answer, finish. Others have lost. This person won. This is where the problem is. Because material competition has this whole concept of winner and loser. And Prabhupada just hated it because why he was so much against this whole competitiveness. And in ISKCON also, we have to be careful of how we apply the Krishna conscious philosophy. Sometimes devotees think Krishna consciousness devotee means the best. That is a completely wrong conception. Even material activities, Krishna conscious devotees means we have to be the best. That's wrong. That's completely wrong. Our philosophy is we have to try our best. Our philosophy is not we have to be the best. This is complete, modern mundane speculation. What Prabhupada taught us throughout his books, our philosophy is we simply have to try our best. That's it. So Prabhupada is very much disturbed by this whole competitiveness being introduced because Bhagavatam is established to destroy that competitiveness. So that which is, we are the followers of the Bhagavatam. So in our own movement, we cannot expect to bring in any form of competition of this kind of winner, loser, and all these kind of concepts into our consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, everybody is a winner. Everybody is serving according to their capacity. Like Lord Ramachandra, he appreciated even the squirrels, bringing a few, tiny bits of sand and helping them, stone, and helping them to build the bridge to Lanka. Okay. Let me just continue. Source is Krishna Bol letter from Prabhupada Takshobhya Das, March 9, 1974. Another letter to Rupanuga Das, April 9, 1974. Srila Prabhupada is particularly concerned that concoction not be introduced with the children. When someone wrote to him complaining that a child had been beaten, Prabhupada replied that whoever had done the beating should be himself be beaten. One major deviation occurred when a devotee in the Gurukul became interested in Montessori teaching methods and attempted to introduce them into the school. Prabhupada squelched them as definitely as he squelched the Krishna Bowl. In his letter stopping the Krishna Bowl, Prabhupada mentions the devotee's brain is not clear. Therefore, he had invented these things. This indicates that if we keep ourselves clear-headed in Krishna consciousness, by always following the parampara and observing the rules and regulations, these unnecessary outside ideas will not occur to us. Well, I don't know what the Montessori system is, so I can't comment on that. Anyone would like to say something on this pastime? Any reflections? Anybody has an idea of what the Montessori system is?
This is actually the British system for the kindergartens, Prabhu.
Okay, what do they do?
I practically, I don't know. It's all singing and, play cards. That's what they do with Montessori, because we have sent children to Montessori schools.
Okay.
They got their own curriculum, Prabhu.
Okay.
Because
Any
our curriculum is different, their curriculum is different. It's very materialistic curriculum for the children. That's
I think the thing is not about, I think he's referring to teaching methods, not the curriculum itself. That's what he's saying, at least.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Maji.
Montessori session, the children are allowed to move on their own. They have full freedom of moving anywhere and everywhere inside the classroom, and they can choose what should they learn. I mean, children will be interested based on their interest. The teacher will teach. There is no particular syllabus in a particular period, like how do we have in a normal school. So if the child is interested in learning maths, and the teacher, I mean, there will be some boards. Everything will be displayed in the classroom. So each child will be learning something different.
Okay.
Like it is not a max period. All 40 children are learning max, something like that.
Okay. It's spontaneous.
Yes, and it is very difficult. The Montessori children, when they come to first standard, for a teacher to handle the kids, because 2-3 years they were free to move inside the classroom, and first standard, when they come to class, it is very difficult for the teacher to make them to sit in one place.
But so I thought the system methods of teaching don't extend all the way until high school also. No.
It is only first and LKG, UKG. In the normal studies, it is pre-KG, LKG, UKG, and Montessori 3 levels: first level, second level, and third level. That's all. Then they have to come to first standard.
Because I remember I had a student in my class. Friend means I was not friend, but okay, a student in my class. So he was brought up in the Montessori system of that, not Montessori, sorry, this schooling system of Krishnamurti, I think, right? They have some schools, Rishi Valley School and all that. So my understanding was that throughout their studies, they will, I don't know, I forget the details now. That's why I asked that question, whether it is all the way till high school or is it only the first few grades? I mean, LKG, UKG, as you said, 3 levels. Okay. The problem, like if you see that Prabhupada gave very clear instructions, and if we don't follow the instruction, it has caused so much havoc. Right now, ISKCON is completely being rocked by this whole thing of beating children, and this whole thing is, I mean, has really caused a lot of damage to our movement. Children who were beaten. Not the children have done damage. I'm just saying that the children have been unfairly treated, and it has resulted in a great damage to their Krishna consciousness. That's why it's very important that Prabhupada said, I did not deviate even an inch from my spiritual master's instructions. So that should be the mood in which we should also practice Krishna consciousness in our Krishna conscious movement. You know, I mean, I was very surprised because even during Prabhupada's time, there's a whole conversation where Prabhupada is saying, don't beat the children, you know. And then you have Prabhupada's disciples arguing that, no, we may need to some discipline. And Prabhupada at one point gets annoyed and said, I mean, he doesn't, Prabhupada sticks to his point. No, they should not be beaten. Anyway, so I'm just trying to say that if we need to be successful, if we need to be really counted as a follower of Srila Prabhupada, then we should have the same mood that he accepted as Guru Maharaj. Just like Prabhupada, when he talks about Bhagavad Gita, he says, we should accept Bhagavad Gita in the same mood in which Arjuna accepted, which is what? Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. So this is the mood in which Arjuna accepted the Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, like that, we should also have practiced Krishna consciousness in the manner in which Prabhupada practiced. So that's very important that he said, I don't know Krishna, I know my Guru Maharaj and he knows Krishna. And he said, I do not deviate even an inch from the instructions of my spiritual master. That is the formula for success for ISKCON. But for our individual lives, and for the institution. Okay. Okay, I'll go on to the next section unless someone has something to say or any question to ask.
Prabhu, regarding this point, you're saying that kids are being beaten, children are being beaten. I mean, are you saying that the devotees are trying to bring their kids to Krishna consciousness, and so the kids are beaten because they are not listening? Is that what you're trying to say, Prabhu?
No, I didn't say. I should say. Kids beaten, I guess, is still a thing of the past. Okay, I guess more or less, it's not easy to find children being beaten anymore. But other forms of abuse have not fully stopped. That's a fact. So all that I'm saying is, Prabhupada said these children are from Vaikuntha. They're Vaikuntha children. He didn't say. He didn't say they're from Vaikuntha. I meant to say that he called them Vaikuntha children, which means that these children have already performed devotional service in their previous lives. So we need to take care of them properly. Like the idea is, what is ISKCON's most valuable asset? It's Prabhupada's books. What is its second most valuable asset? It is the devotees. And among the devotees, who's the most valuable asset? It's the children of the devotees, obviously. Because they are, if we try to go out into the world and preach, but we have our own children here. Why not make them Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada says they're already the Vaikuntha children. So it's a no-brainer actually. But somehow in our movement, we haven't given it enough attention. And so obviously we are seeing the repercussions of it now in a very serious manner. So therefore, we need to get back to Prabhupada's instruction and place our prioritize things the way Prabhupada prioritized. That's all.
Fine, Prabhu. That's clear. One more thing, Prabhu. You were saying about competitiveness.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're saying about gopis in the spiritual world, and they are definitely about the three modes, and definitely they'll be pure. We are still controlled by the modes. So that is one point. The thing what I wanted to say is, you said Prabhupada doesn't want the competitiveness to come, but at the same time, I remember having read that Prabhupada used to give sarcastic comments or even criticize those devotees who couldn't sell the book.
No, never. You won't find even a single comment. I've extensively studied the conversation and all that. I haven't, if you come across, show me. I've never come across anywhere where Prabhupada ever speaks. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Prabhupada would repeatedly say, this you can see repeatedly. Prabhupada will say, my Guru Maharaj used to be happy if the book distributors go out and distribute even only one book. When one book, he used to be so happy. You know, that is magazine they used to distribute during Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's period. So Prabhupada spoke exactly the opposite. That even if you can, whatever little you can do, that's a great thing.
I thought somewhere he was saying, maybe you're not, you're lazy enough or something, somewhere, maybe, I don't remember exactly.
No, not about books. No, what's it? See, whatever anecdote you're referring to, if you study the context properly, it may be something else. For example, during one Ekadashi, the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the Gaudiya Mutt were resting in the afternoon because they were doing Nirjal. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came and said, what is this? Temple is not meant for sleeping like this. Then he had khichdi cooked and he said, eat the khichdi and go out and preach. So that was the spirit of Prabhupada. And in fact, there is a letter in other place where I've seen that letter. I've read that letter several times, where Prabhupada writes that we are not interested in big temples and big different things. These are all simply meant to engage devotees in Krishna consciousness. That is why when Prabhupada is asked, what pleases you the most, and it was the book distributors who were asking him, to just get that confirmation from Prabhupada that book distribution pleases him the most. But Prabhupada refused to acknowledge it. Prabhupada refused to give them that answer. He simply said, I become most pleased when my disciples are progressing to attain love of God. Finished. That's all. And he said, if you attain love of God, that will please me the most. So Prabhupada is very, very consistent about it. I have not seen any exception to any even apparently contradictory also. So far, I've not come across. I mean, even if there is, it is only an apparent contradiction, but not if we, which can also be resolved if you look at the context. But even an apparent one, I haven't come across. So if you do come across something, please send it to me, and then we can see what exactly is Prabhupada saying there.
Sure, Prabhu. I'll just look into it. And just last one, Prabhu, you were mentioning about Gurukul. Word
Yeah.
Gurukul came. So the Gurukul, what Prabhupada referred here is the same which is currently going on Mayapur, Prabhu.
What shall I say? What I mean, I have a feeling that you're. I mean, are you asking this question because you're aware of what's going on, or is it because you're not aware of what's going on?
No, Prabhu, no, Prabhu. Because here we carry on, we conduct Gurukul. We call it the name of Gurukul, but it's kind of a structured syllabus, not any kind of Gurukul with Sanskrit and all this stuff. So has Prabhupada meant Gurukul means some kind of education for children, or the real Gurukul like in Mayapur where they undergo Sanskrit classes? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Gurukul in Mayapur currently is under its. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say Gurukul. Let me put it as the people running at least. Okay, I don't know how to explain this, but currently ISKCON is facing its greatest scandal in regard to the Gurukul system. You know, so because the person running it turned out to be an abuser, the former sannyasi, who has been he's been removed of his position. So it is a very scandalous thing right now, but not the concept of a Gurukul, because you ask Mayapur Gurukul. So Mayapur Gurukul, I mean, there's an official GBC body has formed an official investigation team to find out what went wrong. It has happened over the period of 40 years. So it's a whole big topic. But Prabhupada essentially wanted that children are taught essential scriptural teachings. At the same time, he said that they should also be equipped with basic science, mathematics, and things like that, so that they have the ability to do well in terms of dealing with the world. That's all. So, see, the thing with Prabhupada was he was only talking not about, okay, let's say you provided a facility for them. Okay, after that, what? During those days, Prabhupada is speaking about different vocational things. You had big temples. You had so many kinds of engagements. But Prabhupada at any time did not restrict children from, eventually when they grow up to be adults, they have the freedom to do what they want. We have taken to Krishna consciousness by choice. Have they taken to Krishna consciousness by choice? No. That's why Prabhupada is very insistent. You cannot force children to chant. You cannot. He was very insistent on that. You know, they should be encouraged to chant, but you cannot force them to do it. It cannot be regulation. All kids of this class should chant this many number of rounds. No, so Prabhupada had a very clear and specific idea. The idea is that if children grow up with a happy experience in Krishna consciousness, they'll become very strong devotees. But if they don't grow up with a happy experience in Krishna consciousness, it's going to be chaotic, you know. So that was what Prabhupada was emphasizing upon. So whether they go on in the world and become whatever they want to become, that's a secondary thing. Prabhupada, at least want to ensure that they get all the basic things. They're not stupid people. They need to know how to converse in English, how to converse in Sanskrit. They need to know the languages, and they need to know some science. Science means at least whatever is needed for their level, that's it. Beyond that, what they do, once they turn 16 or 18, then obviously they become adults. The responsibility is only until that, right? Until then, we can give the best possible thing. After that, if they want to go out into the world and do something, they should not be handicapped. That's all. If you can take care of that, then if they're well inspired, then they'll continue in the Krishna consciousness. They'll do all kinds of things. Like I was teaching before, and some of my students are, doing amazing creative works. While some other students have gone into, doing aeronautical engineering in Oxford, Cambridge, I forget. But anyway, the point is that Krishna consciousness is supposed to be instilled from the very beginning of their life. So during until they become adults, they should have a very happy experience of Krishna consciousness. And once they're adults, they can decide how they want to practice Krishna consciousness. That should be, I'm just talking about the general principle. And Prabhupada is very particular about it. The children should have very nice experience. They should play for some time. Then they should be given nice food. I mean, of course, Prabhupada will believe in discipline. That's there. Because with children of there don't follow discipline, as you're saying, Montessori, Mataji, you were saying that if you go to Montessori, you have difficulty making them sit in the class. Prabhupada didn't believe all these things. Essential discipline with a very, very happy experience. So that the discipline doesn't overcome the happy experience. That's the idea.
Thank you, Prabhu. Actually, this is the biggest challenge, in fact, for many of the parents to raise their children into Krishna consciousness. Because most of the devotees, when I was new, we see the devotees approaching us, they immediately tell about the 4 regulative principles, chant 16 rounds, Ekadasi, do all this, you have to do this, all these things. So what happens, we also bring the children that way. Now you do this, do that, do that. Now they're really fed up. So that's a wrong thing which we learn after many years. By the time the child is already frustrated.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. I mean, see, that's what I'm trying to say. In ISKCON, so far, we haven't focused enough on children's education. Or forget about children's education. There has never been enough focus on children, who are actually our greatest assets, But now, the things of circumstances have happened in such a manner that from going forward on this, from this point onwards, from 2022 onwards, the scandal has been so big that has rocked ISKCON completely. So, what is it? There's a lot of focus now on what should be done with our children, which is ultimately this is Prabhupada's movement. So, whenever things go wrong, it will always be corrected. So, the first thing in that is that adults need to know that taking to Krishna consciousness by choice, by conscious decision, is very different from being born into a family of devotees. Very, very different. Because we have, for example, we have the sense that we were saved, right? Okay, we were leading a life of, I don't know if somebody's Gurukuli here, but anyway, I presume that all of us are from the outside world. So we have a concept, we have an understanding that Prabhupada saved us, right? Okay, we took, but children, where do they even have that? Where is the even necessity for them to think that they were saved, right? They're born into a family of devotees. What are they supposed to think? Saved us from what? So therefore, it's very, very essential for them to have a very happy experience in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we are not saving them. In fact, they'll think we need to be saved from Krishna consciousness. You got the point? They should, otherwise they'll end up thinking, I need to be saved from Krishna consciousness. What is this? So therefore, this is very, very essential. Prabhupada said, don't force them anything. Just encourage them nicely.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. We'll read one more pastime and then I have to have a meeting to attend to today. So, I mean, with my spiritual master, it's an official meeting. I need to go and help him out. So we'll read one more pastime and then we'll stop there. 23. My Guru Maharaj always kept us in debt. Jagat Guru Das Brahmachari, another Brahmachari and another Brahmachari journeyed to Mayapur 3 weeks before the annual festival in hopes of getting a private darshan with Srila Prabhupada. They had been preaching in North Africa and were carrying a $12,000 check from a man who asked that it be personally given to Srila Prabhupada. While being massaged by Hari Shori, Prabhupada received Jagat Guru on the roof of the Mayapur building. Prabhupada asked where the devotees were coming from, and they proudly answered that they were coming from North Africa. Oh, North Africa, said Prabhupada, and he seemed impressed. When the brahmacharis gave Prabhupada the donation, he remarked that this was successful preaching. The people must have been pleased, he said. Otherwise, they would not have given such an amount of money. He then asked Jagat Guru if he liked India. When he replied, yes, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada is pleased and asked him to stay in India. As a member of ISKCON Africa, Jagadguru was working under Brahmananda Swami, the GBC for that continent. Jagadguru was Brahmananda Swami's only Sankirtan collector. And Brahmananda had asked him to request Srila Prabhupada. And Brahmananda had asked him to request of Srila Prabhupada that the $12,000 be used to pay ISKCON Africa's BBT debt. Can this money go to the credit of our debt? Jagadguru asked. No, said Srila Prabhupada. Anticipating Brahmananda Swami's displeasure, Jagadguru tried to explain about the BBT debt. Again, Prabhupada said no. Jagadguru tried a third time to explain, but again, Prabhupada said no. Prabhupada put out his hand and slapped it with his other hand. My Guru Maharaj always kept us in debt, he said. If we simply pay their BBT debt, they will become lazy. As for Brahmananda Swami, said Srila Prabhupada, we will not hang him, but he will work for his debt, for this debt. Okay. Prabhupada then told a story of how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to build a temple or create a big project and put the whole Gaudiya Mutt into debt. Sannyasis, brahmacharis, and all members would enthusiastically go out and collect money, and Guru Maharaj would simply start another program so that the Gaudiya Mutt would remain in debt. In this way, said Prabhupada, he always kept us in debt and always working and always busy. This is from Jagadguru Swami interview. According to Jagadguru Swami, on another occasion, Prabhupada said that he would take on his head the dust from the feet of whoever went to preach in North Africa. Dayananda says that Srila Prabhupada said the same thing regarding devotees who would go and risk their lives to preach in the Mideast Muslim countries. Okay. I have a few more minutes. So if you have any thoughts, reflections.
But today, Prabhu, congregation will chastise us if we keep the temple in debt.
The idea that Prabhupada is trying to make, the point that Prabhupada is trying to drive here, is that you have something to strive for. You know, I don't know how to put it. If you have something to strive for, there's no question of complacency. That is the spirit of this whole thing.
Prabhu, just one question out of this one, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Out of the, just want to ask you, Prabhu, while offering to Prabhupada, we should not put Tulasi, Prabhu. Prabhupada or Acharyas, we should not put Tulasi, Prabhu.
There's nothing called offering to Prabhupada the Acharyas. What does it even mean?
No, prasadam, supposing on appearance day we offer to Prabhupada separately.
No.
No such thing as offering to Prabhupada separately. And prasadam is being offered by Prabhupada to Krishna, that's all.
No, so see, Prabhupada's altar is separate. So they bring all the offerings separately and keep in front of Prabhupada.
Yeah, that offering is going to Krishna through Prabhupada. That's why we're having it. It's not
So
some Prabhupada.
So we should be put Tulasi or not, Prabhu? That's my question.
Yeah, it was being offered to Krishna, no. It's not offered to Prabhupada in the sense that we are cooking for his pleasure. That's okay. But that does not mean that when you're keeping the bhoga in front of him, it means that he's going to take there and offer it to Krishna. He was not, how he would enable him to offer to Krishna? No.
This is what Prabhupada said. I mean, anything you offer to me, that's enough. He has told. Even I heard this, Prabhu. But some of the devotees, they say, I mean, when we offer to Prabhupada separately during his appearance day, so in that we should not keep tulasi. So I was just confused. So I thought,
You need to find the reference for that. I've never heard that. Because Prabhupada doesn't eat any bhoga anyway. What is the meaning of this?
Prabhu, what we do in our temple in Jagannath Mandir, Kuala Lumpur, we offer to the deities first during Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, and then from the whole offerings will be brought in front of Prabhupada and left in front.
I think that's a detail. That's a detail. Whether it's offered, whether the food is offered to deities and then brought to Prabhupada, or offered to Prabhupada. It's the same thing actually, because even if you keep in front of Prabhupada, who is he offering it to? He's offering it to Krishna. But Tulsi is there. It's a must.
thank you, bro.
Okay, so to next week we'll resume Prabhupada Lilamrita, because our Shailesh Govinda Prabhu, who is our very regular, steadfast devotee, he really requested that if we could kindly continue Lilamrita next week. He doesn't want to miss the continuity of it. Okay, so we'll do that next week. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha